the bracket on the front of the engine that attaches the engine to the front part of the frame. Henry Ford was kind of crazy about putting the Ford emblem on every single part. So every one of these you clean off all the dirt, and there's the Ford emblem.
Oh, there it is right there.
Bill and I met when I was in training to be a Peace Corps volunteer at Arizona State University in Tempe, and he was a staff person in Brazil, which was where I was scheduled to go. So he came up to speak to our training group, and of course I already had decided I liked him before he even got there, because one of our trainers was a returned Peace Corps volunteer who knew Phil and had been talking about him and everything he'd done while he was a volunteer and what a wonderful person he was. So I had my eye on him before I even met him. But I flirted and flirted and flirted, and he completely ignored me. And so I gave up, and then, I don't know, 3 or 4 months later he came around and asked me if I wanted to go out for dinner. So when I came home, we had kept in touch while I was gone, and when I came home it was easy to get back together again.
My mother and father were both born in California, parents from Portugal. My maternal grandparents came from the Azores Islands, my paternal parents came from Portugal. And I spoke Portuguese before I spoke English as a youngster. I only learned English when I went to school. I was a sophomore in college at community college in California, and we heard Kennedy's speech in Michigan when he first mentioned the Peace Corps, and we all thought that was a good idea. And we all independently got applications to go. I went to Colombia first. Another one of the fellows went to India 6 or 8 or 10 months later, and then the third one went on to school to Stanford, got a history degree, and wound up in Colombia. And his first site was an hour away from mine, but after a year or so there, he transferred to what was my site in San Joaquin, Santander del Sur. Probably the most significant part of my Peace Corps experience was realizing what it was that people who lived in poverty, what happened to people who lived in poverty, and what kind of lives they had. Even though I had been exposed to poverty as a youngster, I had a neighbor who lived in a tent and another family who lived in a very small trailer house. I'd never seen poverty like I saw in Colombia, and that impacted me greatly, and has been the kind of focus or motivator of all that I've done since then, trying to improve lives of people who are either poor or have no health insurance or don't have access to health services, and that's all of my work life since then has evolved around that sort of work. When I came back from Peace Corps, it was clear that people didn't understand poverty at all overseas, but more strikingly, they did not understand what it is to be poor in this country. And that happens to today. In the legislature, I often have to say, in response to comments from people who obviously don't understand what it's like to live poor, do you understand what it's like to live poor? Do you understand what it's like when you get in your car in the morning and you don't know if it's going to get you to work? You don't know if your kid's going to get sick and you're going to have to miss work and then you don't get paid? I mean, people don't understand the day-to-day, Americans don't understand the day-to-day problems that are faced by people who have no money.
sort of special, aren't they? You're like the Kickapoo, right? You got guys on both sides of the border.
We do. We have membership of about probably 7,000 Yaquis in Sonora. But we're not actually on the border, but we do have people on both sides of the border.
We go back and forth.
We go back and forth all the time.
And there's a lot of interaction.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of interaction.
I mean, I've been to meetings on the reservation where there have been a lot of people up from Mexico
Yeah.
to attend the meetings.
I mean,
Yeah.
on a daily basis, people go up and crossing the border for religious, cultural events, as well as leadership issues and dealing with the leaders of Sonora and the leaders up here.
I think it was Herminia,
Herminia?
Herminia, who was the tribal chair at the time.
Yes.
She made a pitch to me about doing this. I had the bill drawn up, and they looked at it. I remember going back and forth with the Attorney General a couple of times, your Attorney General, a couple of times over the language of the bill, and we got it through here. And we got it through here, got it through the Senate, governor signed it, and it was off.
In Guadalupe, there was a 46 unit that was developed. One of the
Outcomes of that was
One of the outcomes of that
was the 46 units, yeah.
which facilitated the process as well too.
Yeah.
Which,
And those 46 units, are they all occupied now, people living in them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
they're all occupied.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah, and do you know if any of other tribes have taken advantage of that?
Pretty sure they have,
Yeah.
but we have not sat down with
Yeah.
all of them in reference to getting all the information or data.
Yeah.
But I think that's one area that we need to take that initiative and basically revisit.
Sure, sure, sure.
You know, as Phil says, if the tribe is able to fulfill the need of a basic, housing for our members of our tribe, not only on the reservation, but as well as off the reservation. And I think that was what was the most benefit, is being able to do that off the reservation, because in reservation, we don't have to do that. So it was basically for the off-reservation community, Indian community, and I believe the bill does state that all Indian nations in Arizona and tribes could benefit from this.
This is the kind of public policy that really appeals to me. It fulfills a basic human need for people who need it. In this case, we're talking about housing. Can't get much more basic than that. So I was very pleased and happy, and that's why I'm very proud to have been involved with it.